open 24 hours just for you. Dodge's Store. Come be our guest. Dodge's Store, Ripley. We are 100% employee owned with friendly service and a fun atmosphere. High quality, low prices. We are Food Giant. Our deli serving breakfast, lunch, supper. Food Giant, 702 Highway 15 North, Ripley. Come shop Food Giant. Want fresh meat and fresh produce? Food Giant's the place. High quality, low prices, Food Giant. This program brought to you by Cardinal Drive-In. Cardinal Drive-In, 1807 City Avenue North, Ripley. Cardinal Drive-In, 837-2970. Magnolia State Family Medicine, Health Center and Medical Spa, 1009B City Avenue North, Ripley. Walk-ins are welcome. Call for your appointment. Providing modern medicine with Southern hospitality. That's Magnolia State Family Medicine. 100% veteran-owned and operated. Bethel University Physician Assistant Program affiliated. Magnolia State Family Medicine. Dr. Christopher J.M. Cummins.
Welcome to Daryl's Little Corner. We'll be with you every Monday from 7 to 8. Tonight in the studio is a familiar face. I bet you know this is Dr. South. Well, she's Dr. somebody. Let's see. She was.
I'm Dr. South.
You'll be Dr.
Yeah.
South.
I told you that little story.
Your
the other
husband
night.
informed me that you were still his doctor.
Yeah.
That's it. He said,
I don't know if that's ethical or not, but
that's what he
still
said.
am.
Well, I don't think he meant it. I think he said he said, well, that's okay. She's my doctor. I think he's taking his claim. I'm telling you. Dr. South has accomplished a lot in her lifetime. One thing, she's a lady doctor. You know, wasn't a lot of them back then, was it? That's something extra. That is something extra. She's a cancer survivor. At one time, she was the county coroner. And then she was the president of the Mississippi State Medical, is it Association?
Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
Which we'll get into that because I don't have a clue. You're going to find out I'm dumb as a brick. Oh, I'm telling you. And now, she's written a book. Sure enough, wrote a book. Now, tell me when she had time to write a book now. Tell us why you wrote a book.
Well, Daryl, it's a long and drawn out story, and you probably don't have time for me to tell you all of it. But I've always liked to write. It's just some sort of a drive that some people have. I've just always enjoyed it, and I like storytelling, and you can't reach everybody, you know, by mouth.
Right.
So sometimes you just feel like you've got to get it down on paper and spread it around and preserve it. And so I've just always enjoyed storytelling on paper as well as orally. But I fell into this writing a column for the Mississippi State Medical Journal. It comes out every month, and I've been the associate editor of that for probably 15 years, and I had this column called Una Voce, which, you know, off the bat, everybody says, what does that mean?
Yeah.
You know, what is that all about?
I looked at that and I thought, oh, that thing is over my head.
No. Well, it's Latin,
not.
but it's what literally it translates one voice, una voce, but it's actually a direction that you give to singers to sing with one voice. You know, I'm not real musical or anything, but it translates into with one voice. So it's just my voice speaking to the, you know, originally the concept was to talk to physicians across the state, and that's what the column was directed toward. But it's pretty broad interest, you know.
It is.
I mean, it's kind of the only medical article in the journal. It's related to medicine, but it's not, you know, over your head stuff about drugs and statistics and things like that. So it's a collection of columns and poems and things that have appeared in the our state medical journal for the last 15 years. But I think one of the most interesting things about how it came to be was when I learned that I had cancer 3 years ago. The first thing that went through my head was, there's so many things that I want to do with my life. And I'm going to die, so I'm not going to have time to do them. And so I just kind of threw up my hands, and I was talking to a friend of mine, Scott Anderson, who is the instigator of the book, actually. He is a radiation oncologist, and what that means is he's a doctor that treats cancer with radiation. And he lives in Meridian, and he also writes, and he also wrote for the medical journal. And I was taking radiation treatments in Oxford with a guy that I graduated from medical school with, John Cantrell. And I was taking radiation treatments to my head, and Scott and I were friends, and we would talk, you know, pretty much 2 or 3 times a week, sometimes every day, because it was rough.
Oh, it is.
No, it was rough. And it was very depressing, and, you know, it just burns your tongue, and you can't, everything tasted like poison, and you lose weight, and you get depressed, and it was just a terrible time. But I kept telling him, I said, you know, the only thing that keeps going through my mind is I'm going to die, and there's just so many things that I want to do in my life that aren't going to happen because this is it for me. He said, you're crazy. He said, you know, I said, I don't want to see my grandchild grow up. I want to, you know, I just have all these goals. And he said, nope, you're going to get better. You're going to do fine. And you're going to have a book, and I'm going to see to it that you do. So he's the one that just kind of pushed it right on in there and helped get it going. I mean, the material was already there because it had been growing over time, but he was the instigator of it because I was moaning and groaning and saying, I'm never going to write that book I wanted to write. And so that's what happened.
Cancer does that to you, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. It just... you know, I remember real well when I got the phone call from Dr. Ford Dye, who had done my parotid surgery. We were eating at Mi Pueblo, the office girls and I, and he called me on the phone and said, I've got your pathology report, and it's, he said, are you sitting down, you know? And I said, well, let me go outside. So I went out front, out of Mi Pueblo, and he said, I would tell you to come and let me tell you this in person, but, you know, you know enough to know that what I'm going to tell you is not good, so I'm just going to go ahead and tell you because you'll have a wreck if you get in the car and try to drive down here. So he said, it's cancer, and it doesn't look like that's where it started. You know, they took this salivary gland out, which is your spit gland right here. And he said the way that it looks like that it's metastatic, which is a big, long word that means that it's come from somewhere else, that it's spread from somewhere else. So that right there is what knocked my legs out from under me. I remember just my legs just turning to jelly. I was standing out in the parking lot of Mi Pueblo, and I said, well, my life's over. You know, this is it. It's, okay, I've got cancer, it's here, but it's come from somewhere else, so I'm, quote, eat up with it, you know. And that was the impression I was left with. And I remember getting back in the car, going back to work, and thinking, well, all I can do is just keep working today. But I just wanted to get in a hole and somebody just pull the dirt in over me, because I did, you know, right then you just, you know, I was like, I gave
Rock
up.
bottom.
Yeah.
Rock bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But everybody has that experience, and then you start at the bottom. You go through all these phases of cancer, you know, denial, grief, acceptance, and all that, just in a matter of seconds. It's like, okay, what I got to do first? And so
Well, you got to do it.
Gotta
Just
do
gotta
it.
do it. Yeah. My sister had cancer, and she's a cancer survivor, and about 17 years now. And she said there were days she just laid in the bed and covered her head and hoped nobody called, nobody came.
right.
Just leave me
Depression is a big part of that.
Yeah, it was so difficult for her. And, you know, it's a hard thing to, if you've never had cancer and never been touched by it, it's a hard thing to imagine. It just is.
It really refocuses your whole life. I mean, you really begin to think about, okay, every day is precious. I got to do the most I can with every day.
And, you know, being a layperson, it's terrible having cancer or thinking you have cancer before you even know it. But being a doctor,
You know
that
too much.
Yes,
You know
do.
too much.
You know,
right.
I've thought about that. Doctors, that's why they make terrible patients. You know, everybody says a doctor makes terrible patients.
I'm the worst. I'm a
because-
bad patient.
Oh, well, honey, the last time I paid somebody to cut my hair, I finally said, well, just give me them scissors and let me show you something.
Oh,
I mean, you know too much. And
Yeah.
if they're not doing something just exactly like you know is right, or if you maybe think you know is right, maybe they're the specialists and you're not, but whatever, you know, we're terrible patients.
yeah.
We
The
are.
tendency is you want, as a doctor who becomes the patient, and as you can imagine, everybody is a patient sooner or later.
Yes.
Everybody who's alive becomes a patient sooner or later, unless you just walk across the street and get hit by a car.
Yeah.
If you get older, you're going to get sick, you're going to have infirmities, and you're going to be a patient. And then the shoe's on the other foot, so to speak. And we make bad patients. We do know too much. The tendency is to want to say, okay, this is what I want you to do for me.
Yeah.
This is the way I want you to do that. Or you feel like you know as much as they do, and you don't.
Yeah,
Because
see-
all bets are off.
Yeah.
When you're the patient, it's all bets are off.
Now, I can get by with that on my hair, but when it comes to your doctor,
That's right.
different. That's
Yeah.
different. I tell you.
And I'm not a good patient. It's like do as I say, but not as I do.
I just learned to do my own hair.
Yeah, I don't see how you do
I
that.
do it myself.
See how you do that.
I noticed that when you came to the program with the guys on the other Saturday night, you brought a notebook with you, and I noticed you jotting down things. Have you always done that?
Yeah, I think. Well, you know yourself that if something comes in your mind and you don't put it down, right then, it's a fleeting thought, something you think, wow, that's great, that's good. And then somebody says something and it goes out of your mind, and the next day, and the older you get, the worse that gets. The next day, I had a really good idea, but I don't know what it was. It's senior moments. I don't know.
That's right.
But I've always done that. I can
that's
take
good.
that little notebook and go back and just with those little jots and tittles that I wrote down about what it was like to watch y'all filming the Jeter show. I even came up with a title I wanted to write about going to Jeterville. There's a community out there that people call Jeterville, but it's just amazing the family orientation of that show, and the things that happen behind the scenes that nobody sees around here off the camera. It's just so entertaining just to be here and watch that take place. And so I was writing down things that people said and little phrases and thoughts, and so someday there'll be a story about that.
We need to all write down notes and keep up, because I'll tell you, we get these. I've got 2 ears, and stuff goes in one ear and out the other. Oh, doesn't stop. Well, I want to say I have read this book.
Good.
You gave it to me the other day, and I have read it. And you told me that this was a book you could leave in the bathroom.
Yes, in
and
your
read a few
bathroom
pages.
library, yeah.
Well, that's true, you can, but I can't. Once I picked it up, And not being a reader, I have not read a book all the way through in years and years. I have not. I got to where as I got older, like I say, I got to where I don't focus as well. I'll be reading and thinking about something else. This was not the case with this book. Something about it just holds your interest. I don't know. It's just something about this book. And I would go to the end of a chapter and I'd think, oh, but I wanted to see what was next. It holds your interest. Y'all, I truly recommend this book. I do. If you're a reader, and if you're not a reader like me, get one anyway. I'm telling you. If somebody told me I'd been like that, I'd say, oh, they just don't know. But now, I promise you, Tate would say, he said, you fixing lunch? I said, shh.
That's funny.
I did.
But really, I mean, it's a lot of people think that it's a novel. No, it's not a novel.
No. I've never seen one like it.
There's a lot of things in it that are just, you know, when I go back and flip through them, like there's 2 chapters that are called Chief Complaints, and they're really funny things that people have said to me that I wrote down in my little notebook. Because, you know, you cannot, no matter how creative you are, think up things as funny or as interesting as what really happens, as funny as things that people around here really say, just tickle you to death. And
get the book to see if some of your kinfolks is in it.
They're in there. I mean, you know,
check it out.
If there was any selling point to this book, I would say, look out, you might be in there somewhere, you know, under a different name. And there are people in there who are you know, with their own real names, but anything that's incriminating, it's not in anybody's real name, for sure.
Before we get into this, you mentioned something to me about the profit from the book. Tell us where the money goes.
Okay, the book, first of all, I think Scott's the one that put the price on the book, and it's overpriced as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I don't think that isn't that awful to say? I think he put too big of a price on it, but you know, he knows, he's the one that did the investment, so he knows what it costs to produce this book, and he had 1,000 copies printed for the first printing. So he knows how much money he's got to get back out of it, but he's given me the authority to you know, cut the price, you know, as I see fit. He just wants to recoup his money. But any profit that's made off of this is going to go to our foundation, and it's going to go for medical scholarships.
Medical scholarships.
Also, the first place that you'll be able to buy one of these, and you may ask me this question later, will be at our book signing, which is going to take place. Our first book signing is going to be at the Tippah County Museum on February the 5th from 2 to 4. And the book will be sold there, and I'll sign it to the individual, or, you know, however. We're also going to let part of those profits at the museum go to the museum. So, I mean, this book is not for me or Scott or Luke Lampton, who did the printing down at his publishing company in Magnolia, Mississippi. Nobody's going to make any money off this book. There will be some of the money stay here locally, and then the rest of it's going to go to medical scholarships.
Oh, that's a neat thing. And this, to me, this book, now I'll tell you, I read the book, and like I told you, I was glued to it. And in this book, Dr. South became Dwyla. You just became a real person with real feelings, where you don't think about your doctor as being a person. They're a doctor. Well, I know.
Okay.
Think about before you became a doctor. Think way back.
Boy, that's hard, because
forever.
I think I've been in practice here in Ripley as of September 1 of last year for 30 years. But before that, I was working at the older Ripley Medical Clinic as a student.
Well,
with Dr. Stone,
then.
with all the doctors there, but you know, as a student. So For
Let's see.
30-something years I've been doing it. It's hard to think back.
Well, a doctor's supposed
Before that
to
time.
play golf like they claim preachers eat chicken, you know.
Well,
doctors play golf.
I purposefully have never learned to play golf because I was afraid that I would like it.
Oh.
Everybody that I know that plays golf is addicted to playing golf, and I don't want to be addicted to playing golf. So I didn't learn.
You know, doctors have their own little group, and you think, well, you can't really talk to a doctor. I mean, you see him in town, you throw your hand up and you keep walking, you know.
Oh, no,
they're
everybody
kinda
asks questions.
Big wigs, and oh yeah, you ask them what's wrong with you. I want to, you know, after reading this book, I want to be friends. I want to talk about something that's not medical. I want to talk about our grass. I want to talk about, you know, I want to be friends.
Mm-hmm.
And this is somebody that I can be friends with, not somebody that's human.
Mm-hmm.
Where a doctor is a professional, and they're different. I don't know.
Can I tell you a little anecdote about what you just brought up? It came to mind. I used to, don't take this the wrong way, but, you know, in a small town, like you said, people put doctors on pedestals.
We do.
And you think that they're like, you know, you can't reach out and touch them or ask them anything. And what happens is you go to the grocery store, you go to Walmart, and you're pushing your cart along, and somebody comes up to you and says hi, and you say hi, and they say, I've got this mole right here. Would you look at that and tell me if you think that needs to come off? And you know, I might be in a hurry, or I might be in the checkout line. I've even had people do this. You'd be in the checkout line watching your groceries go across, and somebody come up and tap you on the shoulder and say, look at my throat. When you get back to your office, will you call me in a prescription for penicillin? And it's like, you go, what? What? You know, I'm trying to, can I remember that? That's where your notebook comes in handy. Anyway, so one day I came back to the office, and my cousin, Van Malone, that you said, you know.
I used to work for his wife.
Yeah, I love Van. Anyway, I was just fussing about that. I said, you know, I would have been here a long time ago, except I got 3 people in Walmart stopped me to ask me questions. I said, it just makes me so mad. And he said, well, don't let it bother you. And I said, but it does. He said, here's what you do. You just realize that those people, they like you, they want to talk to you, and they think they don't know what to say to you.
That's right.
So they think, well, I'll say something medical. You know, he said, people do me the same way. They'll ask me tax questions. And he said, it used to bother me. But what I do is I reframe it, and I look at it in a different way. It's, take it as a compliment. They respect you and want your advice. He said, just take it. And I said, oh, okay. Thanks, Van. That's what I'll do. So that's what I do. You know,
well, you know, in a way, they don't know what to talk to you about.
No.
They really don't. It's not, they won't be friends, but they don't know how.
They'll
they
say,
don't know what to say.
What do you think about the weather? No. Well, look at this mole.
Yeah, it's like, you know, nothing in common, nothing.
Yeah.
That's
the
like
common
you say, they
thing.
put you on a pedestal. It's hard for a doctor to make friends. I know I mean, other than in the medical field, I know as a hairdresser, everybody talks to me about hair.
Yeah.
They do. They do.
And you get bored with it, but you have to take it as a compliment and just go on with it.
Well, I have this obsession with it, so I guess not.
It doesn't bother you.
Not a
Okay.
bit, not a bit.
Good.
In fact, there's a young hairdresser that sends me notes wanting me to tell her what to do. She's just getting started. Well, of course, I'm on the other end of the scale. And that's all right. It's all right. I mean, yeah, but it is. It's an odd thing, you know. And 2, you don't know when you're a professional, you don't know whether somebody wants to be your friend or they're using you.
Yeah.
That's a problem, too.
Well,
you got to have real friends.
But that advice, you know, even if they are even if that person is taking advantage of you, that's okay. That's okay because, you know, if I look at it in a different way, then it doesn't affect me adversely. I mean, if I just spin it around and say, okay, this is a compliment, and I'm going to take it that way. Even if that's not what was the intent, I'm going to take it that way because that's the best way I can make it through the day.
Well,
you
at
know.
least they think you know.
Yeah,
That's a plus.
yeah, it's a compliment.
Yeah, that's a plus.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in reading this book, it started out real sad and it ended real sad.
Mm-hmm.
But in the middle, I laughed a lot.
Oh yeah, when
I did.
some of the things I can pick up and look at it and just laugh again.
Mm-hmm. I did not know that you had a brother.
Mhm.
Tate said, I said, she had a brother. He said, Terry Van, I'm not from here. You can tell. But I did not know you had a brother. And it just was, I started reading it and I thought this is going to be an old sad book. I hate sad books. And y'all just go ahead and keep reading because I thought, well, I'm just going to put this. I thought, I don't want, I don't do sad stuff, and I thought, forget that.
No, it's kind
But
of like the weather
don't
around
last
here.
long. It gets better.
It's kind of like the weather. If you don't like the way it is right now, don't worry.
It'll
It's
change.
going to change. And so everything in it's different. I mean, it
Well,
completely comes at you from every different direction.
At first, it was very sad, the first couple of pages, and I thought, oh, no, oh, no. And as I got into it, it was so, I mean, even the way that you handled the sad part was uplifting. It just, it's amazing to me. Tell me a little about your background. Now, I know you're from around here where I'm not.
Oh, yes. Ripley's I've never lived in the city of Ripley, but lived out in Whittentown, Now,
Well, what kind of what kind of work do your parents do?
Well, my daddy was Terry South, and he was a plumber, electrician, jack of all trades. He could my daddy could do anything, I thought, and he pretty well did, and I liked working with him, and I didn't like housework. I'd mow the yard and do all that stuff, but as far as sweeping and mopping and all that I'd say, no, Mama, I'm going with Daddy, and we'd go and clean out a septic tank, or we'd go unstop whatever, or we'd go, fix some broken pipes or wire a house or whatever, and I went with him, and so I was pretty well a tomboy growing up, and I had to learn how to cook and sew and mend and clean, all that after I got married. I mean, I was forced into that. I mean, I didn't do that willingly at all.
Well, what'd they say when you told them you wanted to be a doctor?
I can't remember when I didn't want to be a doctor. And I remember the first time that I thought that I wanted to be a doctor was when Dr. Mooney
oh, yes, she was
came.
Fantastic.
Yeah, when
Yes.
Dr. Mooney did a house call at our home one time. My mother, who at the time wasn't working, she was a stay-home mother until I went to college. But at this particular time, I was probably a teenager, and Mother had some. Well, actually, honestly, she had a hemorrhoidectomy, and it had been done by Dr. Bramlett in New Albany, and they told her she couldn't come home until she had a bowel movement, and she wanted to come home really badly, so she told a story and told them that she did, and she had not, and she came home and got in bad trouble, and my daddy called Dr. Mooney and said, I need you. And there was snow on the ground. I never will forget it. And she drove all the way from Blue Mountain out to Whittentown and made a house call on my mother. And, I was, kind of in the corner of the room, taking in, it was a big thing when the doctor came,
Oh,
and my mother was relieved instantly with the treatment. My daddy just started breathing again, everybody in the community seemed like they were there, and everybody just had this most wonderful opinion and attitude toward Dr. Mooney, and I said, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. So that was kind of the first time and I would tell people I want to be a doctor after that.
But you said earlier you worked in the clinic and, up around the doctors before you went to medical school.
Well,
During
medical school, there were blocks that that you would take where you'd come out to the community and follow a doctor around for a month.
It's hard making a doctor, isn't it? It takes a long time, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. It's
A lot to learn.
Oh, yes, ma'am, and you learn every day. And you learn the most once you get your degree and come and go into practice. You learn more in the first 6 months than you learned in the previous 4 years. You really do. I mean, you learn from patients. In fact, that's the title of one of the stories here is what doctors can learn from patients.
I like that. Yeah, I like that. Sounds just like me.
Patients educate you every day. If you're not paying attention, you're not still going to school.
I really like the chapter where you were telling about going to, to get into medical school.
Oh, yeah.
I read that and I thought, I'd have been scared out of my mind. And then it said you were scared and nervous. And I thought, real feeling. A real person here. That's when you began to become human.
Oh, you mean to you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Well,
you mean all this time I haven't been?
No, you were just Dr. South.
Okay.
Just Doc. It's a difference, it's just a difference in how we look at people. You know. I mean, you were always Dr. South and you were always friendly and, but it's a difference. You were always the doctor. Like you say, you put them up on a pedestal.
Well, I find the same.
And we do that to you.
I find the same thing with patients sometimes. You can walk into a room with a patient that maybe they hadn't had a bath in a while. Maybe they really had a rough life, and you walk in and you think, oh my, this is not going to be good. And, this is going to be a problem. And not just based on their appearance or anything like that. It's just that you think that person is maybe somebody that's not going to do what you tell them to do. You're not going to like them. You're not going to get along. They've got an attitude, whatever. And sometimes it's the people you very least expect that you just get so attached to.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's true. I didn't know you had kids.
Yeah.
I don't know nothing. Everybody in town knew. I asked somebody, I said, she had kids. Oh, yeah, she had a couple of kids.
Yeah.
I'm not from here, so I didn't know. And you had 2 boys, too.
2 boys.
2 boys. Grown.
Yes, they're both grown.
You say, thank the Lord. I know. That's what I say about mine, too. But now, anybody that's honest, raising children, you love them, and it's your world, and it's the best time of your life, but it's difficult. It's difficult. But, and one of them married.
Well, yeah, they both married. And
but one of them has a child.
Yes,
I read
so
it in the
that
book.
mama her grandma.
Yes.
Sure does.
Everybody start calling her grandma. Don't
Yeah.
call her Dr. South. See her in the store. Say, hello, grandma over there.
My
Yes.
mother,
And she'll
did,
answer, too.
my mother did. Big Mama is what I told JC to call me because that's what I called my grandmother, and I wanted to be Big Mama, and but she shortens it, and so she just calls me Big, and so I'm
that
big.
didn't work out, did it?
No, it's okay. It's okay. But my mother, if it weren't for my mother, my 2 boys wouldn't have gotten reared because they she came to the house and kept them while I worked, and so that was her job. That you asked me earlier, what did my parents do? They helped me a lot.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. But it just, when I read this about the grandchild, I could see myself, in the way I reacted to when my children were expecting their children. And I thought, well, shoot, just like me, we might be sisters here. I had that attitude, too.
Yeah.
But it's hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's hard.
You never think your kids are ready to have children. And truthfully, if everybody waited till they thought they could have time or money to raise a child, nobody'd ever have them.
That's right.
you know.
That's right. But we don't want those children to have a hard time like we did.
Right.
We just don't want them to. We want them to, everything go easy, and it don't work that way. It don't.
Yeah.
But wouldn't it be nice?
We want to tell them. We want to tell them what our mistakes were, so they won't make them, but they still make them.
Do.
Yeah.
Yes, they still do. They still do. But this is in the book. I read the book. I tell you what.
I am so proud of you.
My first book in years.
This may start something new. This makes me want to do another book already.
It's a good book. I think you see people through a writer's eyes. When you see things, reading this book, I looked at some of those situations, and I probably would have laughed and went home and never thought about it again.
Mm-hmm.
But a writer, that stays with you. You know,
it's where your little notebook comes in handy. And the people, you know, some people who've read it say, how did you do that? Where did you come up with that? Well, you know, you just observe. That's what you do as a doctor, is you observe, you pay attention, you take notes, you just really be interested in people and pay attention and observe. And I told somebody one time, well, when do you have time to do that? Well, everybody makes time to do the things that they want to do.
That's
somebody said, you know, everybody's only got 24 hours in their day.
You're right.
But in that 24 hours, everybody does what they think is important, you know. And so you can't make more than 24 hours. You just do what you think is important. And I told somebody the other day, if you've been in medical practice for 5 years and you don't have enough stories to write a book, you were not paying attention. Because they're there every day.
That's the truth.
Every day.
That's the truth. But like I say, the book started out, it was sad, and it ended sad, but between, it is not. It is not. It was hilarious. And
it's kind of like life. You come into it kicking and screaming, and you go out kicking and screaming. There's a lot of good things in between.
That's true. That's true. Well, first it was your brother that died. And then, you had a husband to die. You've really had a lot of hard knocks in your life. And, you know, I want you to tell people how you bounce back. You've had cancer, you've had a lot of death in your life, a lot of tragedy. What advice would you give our listeners that are going through a hard time?
Prayer. Prayer, and just staying in touch with people. And, you know, you get depressed when you pull everything inside of you and try to just keep it inside of you. You need to reach out to other people and find out what's going on with them. And I told somebody this morning. In fact, this particular patient was being treated for depression, and I said, you know, I listen to people gripe and complain and moan, and, you know, somebody said to me the other day, said, you have the best job in the world. You have the most wonderful job. You get to visit with people all day long and talk all day long. I said, you don't know what I do. I said, I listen to people gripe all day long. But one thing that does for you is it makes you know how good your life really is. When you most feel put upon and like everything bad is happening to me, if you reach out to other people, you'll soon find out how good you've got it. It doesn't matter what's going on in your life. There are people out there that are worse off than you are. And the best thing you can do is try to help them. And then that makes your burden lighter. It really does.
I just thought about that. You know, I thought about how you always seem to be so happy. You do. I've never seen you weren't smiling. Never have. Well, tell us about becoming president of that medical thingy.
Oh.
I know, with the fancy name that I'm not smart enough to, you know, the medical association.
Mississippi State Medical Association.
That's it.
Well, you know, I just got involved with that. Dr. Stone and Ketchum and Elliott and Simpson and Walden, I was in practice with them, and they were involved. in the medical association
Is
and would
that
take me to
state?
meetings.
State or
It's
national?
statewide.
Statewide.
Well, it's part of the AMA, but
Okay.
every state has their own state association, and it's part of the American Medical Association. And I got started going to meetings through Dr. Stone and Ketchum mainly. They were big goers to those meetings, and they would drag me along, and I'd go, and they would talk about politics and how doctors needed to be involved, and at the time Medicare had just come and Medicaid, and doctors were all upset about that. That's going to ruin health care. We'd go to meetings and we'd hear other doctors talking about Medicaid and how that was just going to ruin our practice. And really, it was you went from getting nothing for seeing people to getting something. So I got started going to state medical because that's the only way that you can influence the legislature, as far as changing laws and things like that. So it's a medical political group, and it's also a collegial group. It's where you get together with other doctors and you find out that these other doctors have the same problems I do. And how do you solve this problem, and how do you deal with that problem? And what happens is in small towns, if you're in solo practice or just maybe in with another person, you get so isolated, and you start thinking, well, this is the way I'm going to do it, and you grow apart from other doctors, and you forget that every doctor has the same set of problems. We've all got different patients, but they've all got the basic same problems. Yeah. And you learn so much from other doctors, and I just loved it. And so when I'd go to the meetings, and it's just like going to church. If you go to church every Sunday, somebody's going to give you a job.
That's right.
You're going to end up being if you go every Sunday, you're going to be a Sunday school teacher. They're going to give you a job. So if you show up, you're going to work. And so then I got started, working, and just year after year after year, I would get a higher office and a higher office and a higher office, and I was having a good time, and they liked me, and I liked them, and I ended up being the president of it.
I'll tell you,
and so it was a big honor.
That's a big thing. Now that's kind of that puts you up there with them big wigs.
Well, no, I mean you meet people all over the state, and I mean, it's like Kevin Hall told me one time, I could go in any town in Mississippi and borrow a cup of sugar from this guy over here because I know him, I met him, So.
But it does. It puts you up there, back on the pedestal.
No.
I was amazed at how that you managed to melt in with everybody. I mean, like us that are just know nothing. We don't know how to put a Band-Aid on straight. I'm telling you.
You're bad.
Yes, I am. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Tate'll say, that ain't right. We go through 4 or 5 Band-Aids, get one on to suit him. Oh, yes. Yes. That's me. To people that are specialists. And you know how to talk to them. You know how to talk to me. Everybody you meet, you melt in with. That's amazing. That's amazing.
Well, the thing I would say to that is if you want to be a doctor, you have to like science, but you have to love people.
Yeah.
And you got to be really interested in people, not just the textbook stuff. Not just diseases or chemicals or drugs or treatments or whatever. This is over here, but it's all about people. And so if you like and are good at science, but you love people, that makes a good doctor, I think.
It's not... well, I have another friend. She's... I met her at church, and she's the sweetest lady, and one day we were talking, we talked about the kids, the grandkids, it's everyday stuff. One day I said, she said something about work. I said, where you work? She's a college professor. Never knew it. if I did not live in this town, I didn't know you were a doctor unless you told me. I don't believe I'd know it. You know, that's a people person. That's somebody that you can be friends with. You know, that is something special. It really is. It just, I know Jane, she just looked at me like, she said, in fact, she acted funny about it. She said, I work at the college. I said, well, what do you do at the college? You know, I thought work in the lunchroom or, you know. I teach nursing. I thought, I don't even know what to say to her.
She probably got a big charge out of that.
Oh, we laugh
Shocking
about
you.
it. We've been friends for years. We laugh about it. But, you know, it's just, you fit in where you are. And not everybody can do that. That's something special about you. And I think that is something special about this book. I really think that throws over into the book. When I read it, the more I read, the more I felt that I thought, well, you know, you became a real person. See, not just a doctor. See, there's lots of just a doctors around, but you became a real person because you let yourself show in this book your real feelings, how you really looked at things. You know, patients never think about how a doctor looks at them, come think of it. You go in there and you say, well, I hope my feet are clean. Let me go in there and take my shoes off, my feet will stink.
Oh, everybody's feet smell, so don't worry about that. That's why people are, you know, they'll come in and also you're supposed to tell all the diabetics to take their shoes off and look at their feet because that's very important. And people will hide their feet from you.
Yeah.
And they'll just very reluctantly take their shoes and socks off. Well, I hope my feet don't smell. All feet smell. You know, everybody's feet smell. I mean, just get over it. You know, there's nothing that you can say to a doctor that will shock them. Nothing. We've heard it all. We've seen it all. If you've been in practice a while, you know, don't be embarrassed and don't ever tell them a story or misrepresent because you can't be treated. It's like you don't lie to your lawyer and you don't lie to your doctor because they're there to help you.
Oh, that's
and
awful.
if you don't tell them the absolute truth, they can't help you because
You know that's
they're
right.
they're not there to judge you. They're there to help you.
But we do, don't we?
Yeah.
Think of it. I hadn't thought of it, but I guess people do.
Yeah.
They do. And how do you know when somebody's lying to you?
Oh, that is a skill that's acquired with years. You just body language, how people look at you, whether they won't look at you in the eye, or they'll put their head down and they'll give you an answer. I couldn't give you a course in body language, in a minute or two. But I mean, it's a skill that you acquire from learning to listen to people and watch people while they're talking, and you can tell most of the time. But the thing you got to do is you've got to relieve them and say, no, I want to know the truth because I don't care. I just want to help you. So you need to tell me, that you eat 12 donuts every day or that you drink a case of beer every day.
Yeah.
Don't tell me you just drink 2 beers a day, because that's the old story. When the highway patrolman stops you, you ask them how much they've had to drink. I've had 2 beers, and that's all they've ever had.
That's all they ever
and they may
had.
be falling down drunk, but that's all they've ever had.
I tell you what, I know this guy. He had cancer, and he smoked, and he couldn't quit. He tried, he couldn't quit, and he was going to the doctor. He didn't want his doctor to fuss at him. He scrubs that yellow off his face. It turns him nasty looking. He scrubbed it and scrubbed it and scrubbed it, and he put on a rubber glove so he could smoke on the way to the doctor.
Oh, my.
This rubber glove, see, was supposed to keep it, and he was going down the he got to smelling so bad.
Oh, mercy.
Oh, I'm telling you the things people do. But you're right, we lie to doctors. I hadn't thought of it. Wonder if I've lied to my lady.
I think everybody does.
Oh, try not to
Especially, I know, used to that I'd go to the...
And what we just don't tell them.
or to say, I'm not going to get on the scales. I'm not going to get on the scale.
Yeah.
And it's like, how many people weigh what their driver's license say that they weigh?
That's right. Well, that was 4 years ago, or 6. That was back when I got my license.
Well, mine,
It probably
I think,
wasn't right then.
I think the weight on mine probably is the same thing I weighed the day I got my license.
And that picture, you know, I looked at mine the other day. It's time to have them redone, and I don't look like that.
Well, I hope I don't look like mine.
I'm not sure I ever looked like that.
It looks like a mugshot.
Oh, Tate's does. Oh, Tate's is terrible. Tate's is
Oh,
terrible.
Lord.
But it really, you know, I hadn't thought about it, but they do. And I was thinking about that chapter in there about the lady with the cholesterol.
Yeah.
Yes, I laughed till I hurt. Laughed till I hurt. Y'all gotta get the book. You gotta get the book. Read the book, because it is hilarious.
Well, thank you
It's
for saying
hilarious.
that.
Well, it is. It is hilarious. I laughed. And Tate said, was it? So I said, shh, shh, shh.
Don't give it all away. Don't
No,
give it all.
no. But y'all do have to get the book, I tell you. He is, it is amazing. It's amazing. And it, as I say, she became Dwayla instead of, I ain't even learned to pronounce it yet, but I'm working on it. Instead of just Dr. South. And you worked all your life to get to be Dr. South, didn't you?
It seems like it sometimes.
Now you can be Dwayla. But it's just a realness. It's a realness in the way that that your doctor sees life. You know, I've never thought about that. You know, I've never thought about how a doctor looks at life and goes through the same things that we go through.
Yeah,
Now, I have thought about when they were sick, they knew too much. I have thought about that. But I never thought about how a doctor goes through the same daily difficulties that we do. The same emotions. Oh, I had this attitude when my grandchild was on the way, but now you're a doctor, you're not supposed to do that. So that's how I thought. It don't work that way. It does not work that way. It put a realness into our doctors and our medical people. And I think it's fantastic. And it's amazing to me that these articles, and very few of it, very little of it to me, seemed to be directed actually to doctors. It was more something I would expect to read like in newsstand magazine, you know, because it was just interesting. It was just interesting.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
When you expect something to be in a medical magazine, you read these books in doctors' offices. Oh, they buy the awful books. Oh.
Yeah. Well,
it's guys. Pick them out, I know.
Even though these articles, you know, were in medical journals, what I tried to do was, you know, to get the human side of the story and to realize that a lot of doctors put those medical journals out in their waiting room. And a lot of doctors take them home and let their wives read them. And so, you know, when I started getting feedback from the stories, it would be as much from the spouses, their wives or their husbands, who read it and said, you know, we've thought about that, or we felt that way, or, you know, it makes doctors and their wives and patients too to think that it's just like you said, we're all in this life together.
That's right.
And we all have the same experiences, you know. You lose spouses, you get cancer, you know, you become a patient, you have to take medicine. And you learn,
you're not supposed to
you
get
know,
sick now, forget that. You know,
and I'm a lot more understanding of how people feel. I mean, you can't really be a good doctor, I don't think, until you've been a patient first. That's why it's hard for a young doctor to be sympathetic to somebody who comes in and says, my back is killing me.
Yeah.
You know, and you think, yeah, you're just not tough enough. But once you ever have a bad backache or get hurt, or, you know, you go through something yourself, then you realize, hey, you know, I need to be more sympathetic. I need to be more human and understand that, you know, I'm going to go through that too. And,
well, you know, I thought about it. It's so difficult for you because you've got to know which patient is coming in with that backache that is hurting and which one is maybe abusing medicine or something, or, there's a lot of that out there too.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
And a lot of them get their medicine by going and lying, as you say, lying to their doctor. We're back to lying to the doctor. But yeah, they do. And I got the information off a commercial on TV. But I did. They had this thing here a while back, where it was saying that like grandparents and, to lock your medicines up, discard your old medicines, because you don't know, that's what they're using now, is what they steal from other people, or they go lie to the doctor. And,
well, when you want to do another show, that'd be a whole nother show right there.
That is a big thing, isn't it?
That's a big problem in our community. Not only medicine being diverted or stolen or being gotten by lying to get it, or pretending that you have pain that you don't really have. I mean, there's
amazing.
a lot that's being sold on the street too. So I mean, that's a whole nother story there.
And it's the hardest thing. Somebody that's really sick and has to take, as Tate says, a bucket full of pills.
A bucket full of pills.
It's hard to get them down him. And here these people are out wanting to swallow this junk, and you're like, come over here and help me swallow these things. But it just, it looked like to me it would be so difficult to know who is who.
It is, and what I do in that case is if you don't know if that pain is entirely real, at first you've got to take everybody at face value, and you've got to give them the benefit of the doubt. And it would be better to give somebody something that they didn't need than it would be to not give them something that they did need. And it's one of those things like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So I mean, you'll learn.
Sooner or later
you'll catch on. Yeah.
It's that's sad, isn't it? That people do that, but they do.
They do.
They do.
People are just people. And that's all you can say.
Well, let's go back to the book.
Okay.
Take a good look at it, and this is a really good book. You've never heard me say that before. I've done a lot of programs that we've showed books and told about book signing. You've never heard me say, this is a really good book. I read it, and I vouched for it. And I know you're going to love it. You're going to love this book. Tell us about the book signing.
Okay, the book signing, February the 5th at the Tippah County Museum. That's a Sunday from 2 to 4. And we'll be selling books, signing books, and later on the books will be at the museum for sale. And also Bobby Mays at Ripley Drug is going to handle them. He helps writers locally with books, and he's going to handle them in the drugstore for sale. Great. So those are the two places that I know for sure that they'll be on sale in Ripley will be at the museum and at Ripley Drugstore.
Okay. Y'all be sure and get a copy. They are good. Y'all, our time is up.
Well,
I'm telling you, that's a fast hour, isn't it?
It just went like
flew.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed visiting
too.
with you. I'll come back and we'll talk some more. Okay.
We've enjoyed this hour together. Don't forget the Jeter Family Program, Saturday night at 7. I do hope you'll tune us in again next Monday at 7 o'clock for Daryl's Little Corner. May God bless.
And fresh. Open 24 hours just for you. Dodge's Store. Come be our guest. Dodge's Store, Ripley. We are 100% employee owned with friendly service and a fun atmosphere. High quality, low prices. We are Food Giant. Our deli serving breakfast, lunch, supper. Food Giant, 702 Highway 15 North, Ripley. Come shop Food Giant. Want fresh meat and fresh produce? Food Giant's the place. High quality, low prices, Food Giant. This program brought to you by Cardinal Drive-In. Cardinal Drive-In, 1807 City Avenue North, Ripley. Cardinal Drive-In, 837-2970. Magnolia State Family Medicine, Health Center and Medical Spa, 1009B City Avenue North, Ripley. Walk-ins are welcome. Call for your appointment. Providing modern medicine with Southern hospitality.